So happy to see you. Thank you for joining me today for this 10-minute post-workout stretch. So this is a very feel-good flow. You're already warm, or it's a rest day and you just need to move a little bit. You've come to the right place. Go ahead and meet me down on your mat. We're going to come into a quadruped position, meaning all fours, also known as a tabletop position. Shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. Loop your shoulders down and back into their sockets. Pull your belly button back into your spine. You can even touch your core to make sure that it's nice and engaged. Inhale, cow pose. Drop your belly, lift your gaze. And exhale, cat. Tuck around and curl. Inhale, cow. Imagine that you're pulling those palms back towards your knees, knees towards your palms. And then exhale, cat. Press your shins into the mat. Inhale, cow, flowing with your own breath. Inhaling as you come into cow. And exhaling as you press back to cat. Ooh, maybe you'll get some creaks and snaps and pops. All right, one more. Come back to neutral. Bring your big toes to touch, knees out wide, child's pose as you sit your hips back onto your heels. Walk your fingertips forward, but simultaneously drop your shoulders down into their sockets. Creating length along the spine here. Think about someone stretching your hips back as the crown of your head draws forward. Taking a couple slow, steady breaths here. On your next inhale, lift your head, and as you exhale, walk your hands over to the right, maintaining that connection between your left hip and your left heel. If you have the space, you can bring that left hand to rest on top of the right, and then spiral your armpits down towards the mat. Inhale, lift your head, walk back through center, exhale all the way over to the left. Again, you can bring that right hand to the top of the left hand. Such an awesome stretch down the side body. I can really feel this in my upper back on my right hand side. Something I did yesterday is really enjoying this stretch today. Inhale, lift your head, come back up to center. We're going to come back into that tabletop, shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. On an inhale breath, we're going to plant the left hand, reach the right fingertips up towards the sky, and as we exhale, thread the needle, bringing that right shoulder down to the mat, the right ear down to the mat. You can walk the left hand forward, you can walk the left hand over to the right, or you can find a half bind, bringing those left fingertips to the right hip crease, and then working open that left shoulder. So gaze is over to the left. Think about your chest peeling up towards the ceiling. Inhale, right, left hand returns to the mat. And as you exhale, give a little press into the left hand. Peel the right arm open and then return it to the mat. We're going to do that on the other side. Take an exhale breath, engage your core. Inhale, left fingertips open up towards the ceiling. And then exhale, thread the left arm underneath the right, coming to rest on the temple and the outer left shoulder. Again, that right arm can extend straight out from the shoulder. You can walk the right fingertips over towards the left if that feels good. Make sure you drop that shoulder into a socket. Or you can find a half bind. And as your right fingertips find that left hip crease, think about peeling that right shoulder open even more so that your chest spirals up towards the sky. Slow, steady breaths. Inhale the right hand to the mat. Exhale, press into the right hand. Thread open again with the left fingertips and come back to a tabletop pose. Walk your hands out about a handprint distance in front of where they were. Your index fingers are going to point towards the top of the mat, creating a nice L between your thumb and your forefinger. Draw your hips back to your heels and then lift your hips. Downward facing dog. We're going to pedal out here, which means deep bend in one knee as the other heel finds the ground, and then switch it out. Taking nice deep breaths, sending some space and some calm into those muscles. And then when you begin to feel ready, heels work their way towards the ground. Of course, they never have to touch the earth. Pressing those palms like you're pressing that mat forward and away from you. And then gaze up towards your belly button or back between your legs. On an inhale, shift forward to plank. Don't worry, we're not going to stay here. And as you exhale, step your right hand or right foot to the outside of your right hand and lower your left knee to the mat. This is lizard pose. So think about right hip drawing back, left hip isometrically drawing forward. So we want to keep our shoulders facing forward, our hips facing forward. We're not opening to the left. And if you have the space, you can come down onto your forearms here, hugging that inner right knee towards your right shoulder. You can stay here, or if you'd like to find a quad stretch, we're going to come back up onto our palms. We're going to extend the right hand out in front of us like we're going to give a handshake. And then you're going to watch that right thumb come all the way back behind you as you kick your left heel in towards your glute and find the outside of that left hand, or left foot rather, with your right hand. If this is just not for you, just not for some people, you're just going to reach back and keep the foot on the mat. If you are able to find that foot with your hand, you can begin to gently guide the heel in a little bit closer towards your glute and just spiral open a bit more. Remember, loop your shoulders down away from their sockets and think about extending the crown of your head forward and the tip of your tailbone back. And then gently release. Bring your hand back to the inside of your right foot, tuck the left toes, come back through a plank for just a moment, and then step your left foot to the outside of your left hand. Get everything square, organize your joints here, so shoulders and the fronts of the hips facing forward, hugging that inner left knee towards the inner left shoulder. And then if you have the space, you can come down onto your forearms. Oh, drop the right knee down. And slow, steady breaths. If you come down to your forearms and you find that your breath is super choppy, that's not what we're looking for. We want slow, steady, relaxing breaths. Otherwise, our muscles tense up and we're working against ourselves. Come back up to your palms if that's the case. And if you want to take the quad stretch, come back up to your palms. Extend your left hand out in front of you for that handshake. Follow your thumb as you begin to kick your right heel in towards your right glute. And then opening up your chest as you reach for the outer pinky edge of that right foot. So we're stretching a whole lot of places here. The front of the right hip, we're stretching the chest as we open up, reaching that arm back. And then we're stretching into our core here as we come into the twist. We're also working our core as we come into the twist. And again, if that's not for you, you reach back with your hand. Or if you have a towel close by or something you can loop around that foot, you can loop a strap or a towel around the foot and then begin to draw it in towards your glute. Again, slow, steady breaths. Chest spiraling open towards the ceiling. And then gently release. Bring the hand back to the mat. Tuck the right toes. Step the left foot back to meet the right. Press back into a downward facing dog. Taking any movement that feels good to you. Maybe you bend both knees. Maybe it's one and then the other. And then finding some stillness. And we're going to walk our feet through, coming into a seat. We're going to bend the left knee. We're going to bring the right ankle to the front of the left knee. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders, both palms facing forward. Or if it feels good to you, you can flip your hands so that your fingertips face the back of your mat. Finding length from your chest up towards the ceiling. And then if you can come into a deeper stretch, you can kind of walk your butt towards your heel and your heel towards your butt. And then sit even straighter upright. So I don't want your shoulders hunching forward. I want your shoulders open, looped into their sockets. Chest lifting towards the ceiling. And this is an awesome opening for that outer right hip. Just breathing space into that outer right hip. And then when you're ready, extend your left leg long. Bring the sole of your right foot down to the mat. You're going to hug that right knee with the crook of your left elbow. And you're going to twist over towards the right, with that right palm planted at the base of your spine behind you. Then take some nice steady breaths. You can gaze back over that right shoulder if that feels good to you. Twisting poses are so good for us. They feel really good on the low back if you're doing it right and not forcing it. So we want both sit bones on the mat. We don't want one side or the other lifting up from the mat. Very gently come to center. And then we're going to find that figure four with the left leg. So bringing the left ankle to the front of the right knee. And then either fingertips facing forward or fingertips facing back. Just depends on your wrist flexibility and wrist mobility. And then also, depending on the space you have in your hips today, because it's different from day to day, you can walk your butt and heel, right heel, in towards one another. Snuggle those shoulder blades down into their sockets. And then I want you to think about sending that breath into your left hip. So think about the breath coming in through your nose, flowing down into your lungs, and then over to that left hip. And then as you exhale, you create a little bit more space in that left hip. Inhale, guide the breath. And exhale, create space. So again, if the breath becomes short and choppy, that's your body's way of saying, hey, we need to back out a little bit, because when your breath becomes short and choppy, your muscles tend to tense up. And that's the exact opposite of what we want to accomplish here today. So if that's the case, walk that right foot out a little bit in front of you. And then we'll all come back to sitting upright with that right leg extended, sole of the left foot on the mat. We're going to hug the right knee with the left knee with the crook of the right elbow. Bring the left hand to the base of the spine. Don't wrench. Sit up nice and straight and tall, and then begin the twist from your mid-belly, your mid-back. If you found that your shoulders have crept up like some tacky clip-on earrings, loop them down and back into their sockets, and grow your waist up and out of your hips. Kind of think about like a turtle poking its head out of its shell there as you grow your waist up and out of your hips. And then go ahead and come back to center. We're going to cross those ankles, come back into a tabletop position, tuck your toes, lift your hips, come into one final downward facing dog here. And on an exhale, just begin to walk your hands back towards your feet with as deep of a bend in your knees as you need to bring your belly to your thighs. Just let your head hang side to side here. And then with control, squeeze your butt, tuck your tailbone under, and slowly roll up to stand, one vertebra at a time. I hope you enjoyed that quick stretch. If you're looking for a longer stretch or mobility class perhaps, I've got plenty. You can just go through my playlists and find the class that's perfect for you. Anything from brand new beginner to an advanced flow. I will see you back here soon. Thank you for joining me.